Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. And today we're getting into this Dunkleosteus. I know I've heard the name many times, but me pronouncing it, I'm butchering it right now. Strike Attack, part of Strike Attack line of Jurassic World Survival. Now, normally this is a creature that would be ginormous in size. Obviously, they chose to make this in their smaller line, which is fine if someone just wants something to play around with, but maybe it will get recreated at some point in time in a larger size. I'm sure a lot of people like that. Extra wide chomping action. See some of the other figures there. Now, and that one is part of that new one from the Jurassic World. I forget the name of the movie right now. Jurassic World Rebirth, the Rebirth movie. That's like one of those kind of hybrid dinosaurs, but or genetically engineered dinosaurs that's not real. But bought this for my son, so I'm gonna let him unbox it, and then we're gonna get into the review. This is actually one of his favorite dinosaur-ish type of, I know it's not actually a dinosaur, but dinosaur-ish type of animals, or like creatures, or whatever you want to call it, because he would see it on videos and whatnot. But so I was very interested in getting this because of that reason. But once again, like I said, like normally is known to be a bigger type of animal. And once again, as always, links gonna be in the description down below for Amazon, if it is even available on Amazon. And we'll get into the review. All right, guys, so we are back, and interesting enough, before I even jump into all the details with this, I just looked up to see how big this thing is, because I know normally I always thought that this thing was like huge, like whale type size, and apparently there's new estimations, and I don't know if that's the reason why they changed the size on this, but the newer estimations has this thing at about 11 feet long, 11 to 13 feet long, where the old estimations used to have it at like 33 feet long and weighing like 4 tons, like almost the equivalent of a killer whale. So I don't know if that's why they decided to make it smaller, or if they just did it because they were like, hey, most of their figures, they're going to make a lot more smaller ones for, and all the bigger ones are going to be the ones that people really like. Medium size might be like a little bit popular, maybe not too popular, but the big ones are always the ones that are really popular. And this one would have been very large in its size. It probably would have been at least like that big, not large, super large, but at least about like maybe like that chunky and about that big. And so maybe they just want to do that just to not have to whatever. You can see the action feature there. The tail's very loose, like it wants to like have a propel action, but it doesn't. So it's not, I could tell that my figure is not just happen to be loose. They did this intentionally, but it definitely seems like it would be tied to an action feature, and it's not. You got the scan code on there. The teeth are made of the kind of rubber, separate molded rubber, like all the rest of them normally get now, which is great. It kind of looks funny on him here, but to be honest, it's always great because you don't have to worry about paint ripping or anything like that. Here goes the size next to Martin, standard figure size. And my son actually loved this thing because it's one of his favorite Dunkleosteus. That's how I was always hearing it pronounced, unless there's a different species of it, or it's just spelled in a way that the spelling doesn't sound like the way that it's said. But I always remember saying Dunkleosteus, something to that effect. So I'm not too sure. So hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, I actually really like the paint on him too. It's not a whole lot, but it looks nice. The eyes look nice. I feel like these eyes could almost glow, but they don't. But they have that look to them. Where it looks like they would. So definitely think it's a nice figure. Definitely a small, if you want to get your kid something very tiny, or if you're just a completionist and want to get everything in the lineup, then go for it. Feel comforted in knowing that he's still a little small versus even the new measurement size, but he's close to that new standard, which is pretty good. So if this guy is 6 feet tall, he's probably something about 10 feet in length. So yeah, it's about the lower end of what the new measurements are for Dunkleosteus. So like I said, maybe if you're okay with that, then that's just the new size of him. But if you're stuck on that traditional size, which I thought he was, then you might be a little bit disappointed. But nonetheless, as always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.